So a few years ago, I installed these Morimoto LED projector fog lights to match my LED headlights. Now they've been great, but they're kind of expensive, which might not be for everybody. Last I checked, they were about $250. So I've got some new LED fog lights today that are also projectors. They should also match my headlights just fine, but they're much, much cheaper. I think they're about 50 bucks. So let's take these out and put the new ones in and see how they compare. And I'll do like a side-by-side comparison so you can see, because if these are just as good, I think that's a great option for a lot of people who don't want to spend the big bucks to get the Morimotos, which, I mean, if these are just as good, why would you? So let's get them installed and see. So all you need to change out the fog lights are a Phillips screwdriver and a flathead screwdriver. Those are the only tools you need, so we'll get under the truck and get them swapped out. So removing the fog lights is very easy. All you got to do is unscrew this screw right here, which holds in a spring. Don't lose that spring. That's how you aim the fog lights. So just unscrew that. And then you've got two clips on either side, which are just plastic clips that you can pry off with a flathead screwdriver. And then you have the wiring harness, which comes off just with a couple clips. And obviously I'm removing my aftermarket Morimoto lights, but this is the same procedure if you have your factory lights still installed. Okay, so I got the screw and the spring out. Now the next thing I got to do is I just need to get in here and pry these two clips out. Okay, so this one's loose. Now we'll go get the other one. I'll just slide my screwdriver in here and kind of pry it out. And it'll pop right out. Of course, I've got the wiring harness I need to take off. And that's it. And installing the new one is even easier. So here are the two fog lights compared side by side. This is my Morimoto fog light that I took out, and this is the new one going in. It's hard to tell because of all the projectors, but they are different in design. The Morimoto's got a convex lens, and the aftermarket one here has more of a straight lens across that's a cylinder. I don't know if you can see that in there. Also in the Morimoto, it's got three LEDs that are bunched tightly together, and this one has three LEDs spread out throughout the entire housing. So it'll definitely have a different light output pattern, and I'm curious to see how they look compared to each other. So, and then once it gets dark, we can do a side-by-side comparison. So installing the new light is very easy. Just plug in your harness, which mine fell behind. I'm just going to plug in your harness, make sure it clicks, and then if you don't have one of the plastic square tabs right here, make sure you install that. I'm going to go ahead and use one of the new ones. Okay. Make sure that's the way it goes in, because the screw is going to thread through this. The screw will thread through just like this. So I did a test fit, make sure that the screw is threading through properly, which it is, and then you'll just install the light. Very simply, you just push the light into the housing. Just like that. Then just go underneath and you tighten that screw, which adjusts the up and down angle of the fog light. Should probably clean this off so that all the commenters don't get angry at me for having a dirty fog light that I'm doing a video on. I mean, they're not wrong. It's just laziness. So it's not really dark yet. I just tweaked the camera settings so that we can see the light output a little bit better. And it's very different looking than the Morimoto's. So I won't be able to do a driving test until it gets dark, but now we can have a little preview of what it's going to look like. So here is the new ones, and here is the Morimoto's. So you can see there's a clear difference between the beam patterns, how that's going to reflect to on-road usability. I'm not going to know until it gets darker. But there is a clear difference in the beam pattern. The Morimoto has a solid white stripe of light across, whereas the new ones have a much more individualized beam because those LEDs are spread out. So we'll see how it looks. At least as far as on the truck, they look really good. I don't use my fog lights for a whole lot of driving light anyway. My headlights are so bright, so it's mostly just an aesthetic thing. So we'll see how it looks. Okay, so here are both of the fog lights turned on, and you can't really tell which one's better, but I was quite surprised. Let me show you. So this is the one on the left, which is the new aftermarket cheaper fog light. It's really bright compared to the Morimoto, now you see on the right, which is not nearly as bright. It has a bit of a different beam pattern, but overall, this cheaper one looks a lot better. I'm very surprised. Alright guys, so you saw it for yourself. Those cheaper fog lights are, in my opinion, better than the Morimotos. I don't know longevity because I haven't had them that long, but as far as light output, they look a lot better, and I'm going to switch my Morimotos out for these. That's just me. You do what you want, but I really like these new ones. So I'm going to put a link to these new ones down in the description below where you can get them if that's something you want to do. It helps me out if you use that link. Thanks for checking out my video, guys. See you next time.